part of the program this week that's just pulled out all the stops, and just everybody has done a great job. Food has been good. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I heard A.Z. Hudson suggest that we might need to have refreshments first tonight. I'm not sure why he would say that, but anyway. And it hadn't been a good week. It's just been a good week, and I'm so glad that it's Thursday night and you're all here, and so I hope that I don't blow it. They say. You heard anybody say they say? Mm-hmm. They say. Now you know who they are. They are the experts. Now the expert. Now anytime a preacher says they say, you ought to just receive what's coming with the word of caution here. But they say. The experts say, that means the preacher doesn't really know who said this, or if anybody actually really did say it. Just they, it's just sort of a random they. But the experts, they say. Everybody sort of wishes they would stop saying so much, but they just keep on saying it. And they say, in this particular case, they say that people, let's do this one. I've done this before. They say that if you took everybody that slept in church and laid them end to end, they'd all be a lot more comfortable. Some expert said that. But they say, in this particular case, they say that people. Now, when we talk about the people, you know who that is. That's you. That's you and me. They say that people have a short attention span. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that? Do you think that's true? I remember I graduated from Oklahoma Christian College University in 1900. None of your business. I will say that I have been preaching for 35 years this month, and I started when I was very, very young. But
very.
But 33 of those years have been in this area. 7 years I've preached at Alma Congregation, and this is my 26th year here in Monroe. And it's been a blessing to me. And back in school, I can still remember back this far. Back in school, when they were teaching us how to preach, Merrill, when they were teaching us how to preach in school. They would sort of try to drum it into our minds that people only have about a 15-minute attention span. And I thought, okay, if that's what they say, that must be true. They must be right. So I think they're wrong. In fact, I know they're wrong. Let me say this. I don't think that's true of you people. Because I've heard some pretty long-winded preachers just this week, and you're still. I know that's true. And this will be another long-winded sermon, I'm sure. But the problem that I have with it is that let me do this. I'm going to come back to this one. You recognize this family? Not the people specifically, but the scenario, the scene here. You see what's going on in this picture?
Yep.
There you have a family all sitting together in their living room, and every one of them's on their cell phone. Okay. Now, here's why I think people have a longer attention span than they give them credit for, because I have seen young people, middle-aged, older people do this for hours. Hours, literally hours, like this. You know, you could be walking along, just kind of nonchalant. You look at your phone, and you're like, "Ooh." You can stay in that pose for an hour. Why is that? Why is it that people don't complain about how long they can sit and look at their cell phone, but but they complain about how long they have to sit in a worship service and listen to the preacher preach. When really, it's the song leader. It's saying, isn't it? Or, them long-winded prayers or something like that. Nobody complains. It's the preacher. Preacher. Now, here's the thing. We have so many things that demand our attention these days. I might say these days, but I suspect that it's always been this way. There's always been something. Nowadays, and anytime you talk about it in your generation, is these kids have so many things that we didn't have when we were kids. But you had other things that your parents didn't have, and they had other things that their parents didn't have. They had other things that Adam and Eve didn't have. There was always something that attracted your attention. And if you were really interested in it, you could sit and do it for hours and hours. Nobody likes to think about things they don't like to think about. But people dwell on things that they love to think about for a long, long time. And so that's what I want you to think about. And if you're going to preach a sermon on the subject of distraction, I think that the best passage to go to is here, Matthew chapter 14, starting at verse 22. And if you'll follow along with me, this is a very familiar passage to all of us. And even if you don't know where it is in the Bible, you know this story. Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost." They cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." Okay, I want you to think about this scenario. You know the scene. You've pictured it probably many times. You've seen artist drawings of it, maybe even a movie or play or something about it. And so Jesus is walking on the water. The sea is troubled. It's a troubled sea. And the waves are coming from all directions. I don't know how many of you have ever been out on open water, a large expanse like the ocean or the sea, like this is the Sea of Galilee. And the waves are coming from every direction. This way, from behind you. It's overwhelming you. It's overwhelming the boat. The people in the boat are afraid. Peter is afraid in the boat. All of his fellow disciples are afraid. And here comes Jesus walking on the water in the dark. And he is not troubled by the waves. he doesn't, he's afraid at all. At first they saw him and they thought, hey, well, that's a ghost. Who but a ghost could do something like that? But no, he says, it's me. It's me. You don't have to be afraid. It's me. Now I want you to put yourself in the boat. In order for this to work the way it's supposed to, you have to put yourself in the boat. Okay? And if you're standing there, you're one of the people in the boat, and you've got all kinds of reasons to be scared. It's dark. Maybe there's thunder. There's lightning in the sky. There's waves, maybe crashing over the side of the boat occasionally. Big waves. And there's a shadowy figure on the water. And you're afraid. But then Jesus calls out and says, it's me. You don't have to be afraid. It's me. Are you all of a sudden not afraid anymore? You're not afraid now? Oh, well, it doesn't matter that there's a storm on the Sea of Galilee. It doesn't matter that this boat is being tossed to and fro. Jesus is here, so everybody's okay now. And it didn't work that way. They were still afraid. They were still frightened by what they were going through. And so, but there's Peter. Now there's Peter. You're in the boat too, but there's Peter. And Peter calls out and says, Lord, if it is you, allow me to come to you walking on the water. Now, you heard Peter say that. You heard him, and you're in the boat with him, and you heard Peter say that. What do you think about Peter? Don't answer it out loud. Just think about it. What do you think? What would you say to Peter? Would you say, oh, Peter, don't do this? Or would you say, Peter, you got this. You got this, Peter. Go for it. If it works out for you, I'll be right behind you. Well, Peter, so Peter says, but whatever it was, what we're not told what the other disciples said in the boat, but we know that none of them got out of the boat. Nobody else but Peter got out of the boat. Right. But imagine what they might have been thinking as they got out of the boat, as Peter got out of the boat, stepped down over the side of that boat, standing on the water. And maybe they're thinking, he's doing it. If Peter can do it, maybe I can do it too. Peter's faith encouraged them in their faith. But they thought, I'm going to wait a little bit. Give it a little bit before I step out. Okay, but Peter, he's walking on the water. Can you imagine what it felt like? If you're thinking about it, a little unstable, waves here and there. And here's what I want you to think about. Not every wave is the same wave. Right? Some of those waves were just lapping at his feet, and they were just, they just sort of flow by there. He could handle those waves. That was nothing. But here comes a great big wave. He sees it out. He could see it out there. Sort of took his focus off Jesus, and he saw this wave coming. And this wave had letters written on it, had words written on it. It said, Peter, you are not good enough. Another wave over here said, Peter, what do you think you're doing? There was another wave coming up from behind, and that wave on it said, you're really just a Jew at heart. You shouldn't be out here. There was all kinds of waves coming at him. Everything that he had forgotten about when he had his eyes focused on Jesus, now overwhelming him. Now all of a sudden, it wasn't about, I'm doing this, I'm keeping my focus on Jesus. Now it's all about me and my inadequacies. And whatever else it was, whatever else that every wave represented as it came to him, it robbed his focus from where it should be. It distracted him. You see that? That's how I came up with the title. It distracted him. And so what happened? He sank. He sank in the water. He had to call out, Lord, save me. And thank the Lord he was there to reach out and take him out. But you're in the boat. You're still in the boat, right? You're still in the boat and you're thinking, I knew Peter couldn't walk on water. He's not good enough. None of us are good enough to walk on water. Jesus can walk on water. He's Jesus, but Peter and me, well, I'm not good enough. And if Peter can't do it, I certainly can't do it. So he took him back to the boat. As soon as they got in the boat, the wind ceased. The sea became calm. And Jesus said to Peter, I want you to imagine now you're hearing this. You're in the boat. You're hearing Jesus say this to Peter. And he says to Peter, oh, you of little faith. Why did you doubt? As if to say, you were doing so good. Why did you doubt? Why did you take your eyes off me? Maybe you're in the boat and you're thinking, yeah, Peter, why did you doubt? Yeah, Peter, what made you think you could do that? So there's that concept, that idea that it could have been different. It didn't have to be that way. But that's the way it was. And it's got to be that way for a reason, right? Something we can learn from that. But I would say this, that Peter's waves probably be different than my waves. Peter's waves be different than your waves. You got your own waves. And Peter had his, and you've got yours, and I've got mine. And we've all got our own waves. And some ways we can handle, some ways we can't. And so that's what we're supposed to be thinking about in all these things. So I'm going to start like this. This one I think is the problem. This one stings a little bit. Just hang in there. The problem is not the distraction. It is our lack of interest in what is important. That's the problem as I see it. And we, like I said, we can focus for hours on things that we're interested in. Or let me say, we could focus for hours on something that is interesting. Let's see if you can focus for hours on this sermon. If I can keep it interesting enough to hold your attention for longer than 15 minutes. I've been preaching about 15 minutes. Hang in there. I think it comes down to this, really. I think it comes down to training yourself. I think it comes down to disciplining yourself, self-discipline. I think it's a matter of you deciding what you're interested in, or giving up some things that you're interested in that maybe you shouldn't be interested in, and changing those things about yourself. You have the ability within you to direct yourself in many ways. Here in Colossians chapter 3, watch this. I know you know this passage. If then you were raised with Christ, that means if you're a Christian, right? If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things on the earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Now do you understand how significant that is? I want you to think about it, just break it down a little bit. if then you were raised with Christ, if you're a Christian, if you have been crucified with Christ and crucified the old man and then raised up a new man, you're a Christian, and so you have been raised with Christ. If that's the truth, if that's the case for you, then you need to set your mind on things above, not on things on the earth. Well, the problem with that is you may have been a Christian for a short time, but you were worldly for a long, long time. And so a lot of the things that the world had you focused on and interested in, all of a sudden, that you have to change those things. You've got to stop setting your mind on things below and start setting your mind on things above. So you've got to make some changes. It's not going to be easy. It's not like it's going to change the interest the instant that you find out, oh, it's Jesus. I can focus on Jesus. He's out there walking on the water, and he says, don't be afraid. So I'll just flip that switch, and everything will be fine now. I just won't think that way. It doesn't work that way. We have to train ourselves in this. That's why the whole analogy about being born again and being babes in Christ and then growing to maturity in Christ is designed so that we start and we grow. And the longer we do it, the easier it is supposed to be. And if it's not getting easier to be faithful and set our mind on things above, we're not doing it right. We're still focused on the wrong things. We're walking on the water, but then we look around, oh, there's a wave of debt bearing down on me. There's a wave of immorality, lust. There's a wave of whatever it is. And it's bearing down on me. And it never even occurred to me to think, oh, wait a minute, where was Jesus? I lost focus. So when we take our eyes, our focus off of Christ, that's what happens. The world overwhelms us. That's what happened to Peter. Right? That's the same thing happened to him. That's what happens to us. It happens every time. It'll happen to us just like it happened to him. And we'll just take the plunge. We'll just sink. We'll just sink and we'll have to be rescued. We have a crisis of faith. A crisis of faithfulness. Roger Russell referred to this passage last night. In case you were wondering if I was paying attention. 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. That's where we've been today, right? Do not love the world or the things in the world. What's this part? If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in you. For all that's in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, not from the Father. It's from the world. And the world is passing away, along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. Now, if anyone loves the world, I think the key word in that statement is the word anyone. And that's not just talking about people that aren't Christians. They love the world. We expect that. If they didn't love the world, they'd be Christians with us in the boat. But if anyone loves the world, that means if any non-Christian or any Christian loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. It doesn't say the love of the Father is somewhat diminished. It doesn't say that the love of the Father is waning and he needs to turn it around. He says it's not in him. You can't do both. You cannot love the world and love God at the same time. You can't love the world a little bit and love God mostly. If you love the world, love of the Father is not in you. Now, we don't like to think that. We don't like to think that's true, but that's true. That's the way it works. This is a ongoing, constant struggle we're going to face all the time. And I guarantee you, the devil has a wave out there with your name on it, or several waves. And I can't tell you what it is. Most of you, I don't know you that well. But I know that it's custom designed just for you. There may be other people that are being overwhelmed by that same way, but what does that matter to you? This is you. This is your walk on the water, and you are the one that has to deal with it. And you can turn that big wave into a little bitty wave, or you can turn that big wave into a calm sea, just by keeping your focus on Jesus Christ and not getting distracted by all these other things. You need to get rid of that out of your life. It's not that easy. No, it's not. Nobody ever said that it was. It's not like flipping a switch. It's going to take work. Randy Rankin referred to this passage Monday night. I can remember things that happened Monday night.
Look at you.
So when they had eaten breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, I know." Do you love me more than these? He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." He said to him again a second time, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." Now, Randy explained this. I'm going to explain it too. The way that this is constructed, in English, we call several things, we translate several words love. But in the Greek language, there was two words that are being presented here. And so the way the conversation went was, Jesus said to Peter, the first time he said, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you agape me?" Okay? And that's the highest form of love that the Greek language, the common Greek had, agape love. Do you have that kind of agape love for me, Simon? And Simon Peter, when he answered, right after, this was not long since he had denied him 3 times. We heard the rooster crow. He probably heard the rooster crow every morning of his life, and he remembered what he had done, and he was just wounded. He was distracted by the grief. And so when Jesus said, "Do you agape me, Peter?" all he could come back with was, you know all things. You know that I philos you." And that is a lower form of love. And Peter was just wounded. He couldn't get to agape. He didn't feel it. He couldn't even say the word. He couldn't even fake it. So the second time Jesus asked him, "Simon, do you agape me?" Peter said, "I philos you, Lord." The third time, Jesus asked the question. He said, "Simon, do you philos me?" Jesus brought it down to Peter's word. And I can imagine that Peter must have been at least tearing up 11. At this point, hopefully we're all cheered up at this point. When Peter said, Lord, you know all things, you know that I feel on you. And every time he asked the question, when Peter answered it, he said, I need you to tend my sheep. I need you to feed my lambs, Peter. The lambs are hungry. I need you to get back in the boat. I need you to step out on the water. I need you to refocus yourself. I need you, Peter. You feel like Peter sometimes? I want you to look at this from the Apostle Paul. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. The Apostle Paul, this is after he has gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, physical injuries, after he'd been stoned and left for dead, after he had been beaten in Philippi, after he'd been through all kinds of stuff, and he was maybe hurt at the time when he said this. But look what he says. Starting at verse 7, 1 Corinthians 12. 2 Corinthians 12. Lest I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelations, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I be exalted above measure. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. For my strength, listen to this, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in my infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. When I am weak, then I am strong. You know, here's the problem. He didn't tell us what this thorn in the flesh was. We don't know what it was. Oh, we speculate. Oh, we preachers, we love to speculate. Maybe it was his eyesight. Maybe he had poor eyesight. There was some indication of that. Maybe it was all those times, all those injuries that he had sustained in the beatings or the stonings or all those things that he had endured. And maybe not having those things been healed miraculously, he still bore some of the scars or some of the pain from that. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't any of those things. Maybe it was chronic depression. Can you imagine? Paul had to drag himself out of bed every morning just to go out and do what God wanted. Maybe the tent making business wasn't going very good. Maybe it was a money problem. Maybe it was whatever it was. His thorn in the flesh, different from your thorn in the flesh. Maybe it was just the people that just seemed to hate him for what he was doing. And that was a thorn in the flesh, and God wouldn't take it away from him. I guarantee you that his thorn in the flesh is different than your thorn in the flesh. Whatever your thorn in the flesh is, that's what you pray to God that he removes from you. And when you pray to God and he says to you, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is seen in your weakness. Imagine Paul coming into your town. Preach the gospel. You've heard that he's coming. And you're expecting a giant of a man, strong and powerful. You've never seen him before. When Paul comes into town, he's a little stooped over a little bit. Maybe he's got to have some help because his eyesight is just not what it should be. Maybe he's Maybe he's got a limp. Maybe he's missing some fingers. He gets up to preach. And you hear him preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he says, you can overcome anything. That was a lot more powerful than it would have been if he had been a young, vigorous man. No visible injuries, powerful, strong in the pulpit he may have been at. I don't know. I don't know what his thorn was. I just know that it was a distraction for him until he realized that God wasn't going to take it away. And then he gloried in it. And he said, okay, Lord, if that's what you want, I'll deal with it. But I'm going to keep working for you. Nothing is going to stop me. While we're thinking about that, there comes a time we have to focus ourselves on what's important. And I'm just going to go to Ephesians 4 real quick and read it. I like it. He himself, that's Jesus. He himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers for the equipping of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we should no longer be children. What now? That we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro, carried about by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting, but speaking the truth in love, may grow up in all things into him who is the head, Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the effective working by which every part does its share, causes growth of the body, for the edifying of itself in love. Now what I like about it is this. Paul is encouraging the Christians in Ephesus. He is saying, yes, I know. We're teaching you, other people are teaching you. We're all trying to teach you what Christ wants, why Christ died, and how to live a Christian life yourself, how to be faithful, and how to stay faithful. And it all comes down to this. We've got to unite. We've got to unite to be one man, unified in the body and spirit of Christ, to the fullness of the measure of Christ. That's what he said. And if we'll do that, then it'll be so much easier when the trickery of men, the crafting, cunning of deceitful plotting comes. And that's going to happen. As much as you hear Jesus saying, don't be afraid, you have the trickery of men saying, come on, go with us. Try this, try that. Ignore your problems and come and have a drink. Come and have a smoke. Come to my bedroom. Or you have some charlatan preacher saying, nah, you don't have to be baptized. This is the gospel. This is something else. But you're not going to fall for that. You're going to overcome that because you have your brothers and sisters in Christ. You have your Christian family. And you are not going to take your eyes off of Christ. He's right there. Can you see him? He's right there. Don't look away. I can't keep thinking about Peter walking on that water. I want you to go back to the Sea of Galilee. Are you in the boat? Are you in there with me? I'm in the boat too. I'm not Peter. I didn't get out, but we're looking, we're watching, and there's Peter. Peter says, Lord, if it is you, bid me come to you on the water. And you hear Jesus say, come. And you reach out and you take Peter by by the arm. Say whatever you say. And you watch as Peter gets out there and watches Jesus. And you see as he's doing well, and you're thinking, he's doing it. But then he looks around, and you can tell he gets afraid. He sinks in the water. And Jesus has to save him and bring him back to the boat. And you hear him when he says, "Oh, you little faith. Why did you doubt?" What if it had been different, though? What if it had been different? What if instead of saying, "Peter, don't go," you had whispered in Peter's ear and said, "You can do this. You can do it. You've got this." And when he got out there on the water, and you could see that he started to look away, you said, "Peter, don't take your eyes off Jesus. It's okay. Don't look at the waves. Don't worry about the wind. Don't think about the thunder and the lightning. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just keep your focus on Jesus." What would have happened? What would have happened if Peter had made it to Jesus and Jesus had embraced him and said, "Oh, Peter, bless your heart. You are a man of great faith. You didn't doubt." What would have happened next? What would you have done? Would you have gotten out of the boat? Peter did it. I can do it. All I have to do is keep my eyes on Jesus. And everybody says, "You can do it." And Peter says, "You can do it. Come on. It's great." And so you do it. Now there's 3 of you out there, and more people get out of the boat. And more people are walking on the water. And we're out there with Jesus, and Jesus is embracing us and says, "See, I told you, you don't have to be afraid. We've got this. This is what I wanted." And then the sea gets calm. You know, we've done a great job this week. You know why the round robin is successful? Because you look forward to it every year. I hear people say, "Oh, round robin." I'm talking to my daughter Emily tonight. She said, "I can't wait until the round robin next year." She plans to be here. Looking forward to it. You know, it's a great week, and it's great because we're here, we're unified, we're saying to each other, "We can do this. This is going to help me tomorrow and the next day, next week. This is going to be beneficial. This is going to be useful." Every congregation that's represented here needs to be encouraging every other member of every other congregation that's here. Every congregation, we are stronger together when we're stronger apart.
Amen. I
got 2 passages to read. I'm going to close the sermon. Bear with me. 45 more minutes. They're on the screen for you. Just hang in there. Revelation 21, verse 8. "The cowardly and unbelieving, the abominable and murderers and immoral persons and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars." All liars. Their part will be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.